Today, I want to dispel some myths that I think hold people back when it comes to paying estimated quarterly taxes. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, it just makes you feel that what you're doing has a real effect, a positive effect on your tax situation, and is really there to help you. Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome. Today, I want to dispel some myths that I think hold people back when it comes to paying estimated quarterly taxes. And hopefully, by the end of this episode, it just makes you feel that what you're doing has a real effect, a positive effect on your tax situation, and is really there to help you. All right. So here we go. So the fear that I see plagues a lot of people when it comes to paying quarterly taxes is a sense of like insecurity about what happens to your payment, right? It's almost as though people feel, and listen, I'm not here to lay any blame for this because there's no tax education in this country, right? Where would you have found this out before? Besides right here, right? So the fear, I think, is that there's a sense that you make your payment to the IRS and then you have no idea where it goes. And you feel like if you overpay that you'll be losing money, right? There's definitely like a lack of a sense of where does this go? I am 100% certain what happens to it. And I know what happens if I overpay, right? The nature of making an estimated payment is that it isn't precise. And therefore, there's going to be a moment of correction where you find the precise number and you settle up. And that can go in two directions. If you overpay your quarterly taxes through the year, guess what? You get the excess back in the form of a tax refund, just like your friends who are employees get, right? So the US tax system is called a pay-as-you-go system. And the design of it is that every taxpayer is meant to be prepaying their taxes throughout the year. And yes, that includes us, freelancers. Prepaying your taxes throughout the year, slightly over the amount, slightly overestimating from the amount you think is actually due. And as long as you do that, you don't pay any penalties or interest, right? Now, of course, no taxpayer knows exactly what tax will be due in advance because taxes are based on the income you earn for the year. And who among us has a crystal ball to guarantee what we're going to earn for the whole year, right? Here I am speaking to you in February. I have no idea what my income is going to be for 2025. Do you? So it's okay. The nature of this system is that you make estimates as you go. And then once per year, due April 15th, you file a tax return. And that tax return is where you do the settling up, where you actually calculate exactly down to the dollar what you actually owed, and you reconcile that with what you prepaid. For us who are self-employed, that will be through estimated quarterly tax payments. For people who have W-2 income, and you can certainly have both W-2 income as well as quarterly tax payments, right? And you might be married to somebody who does one and you do the other, or you yourself might do both all in one person, right? So you're going to settle up all the taxes you've prepaid. And then on your tax return, you reconcile what you expected that you owed and what you prepaid, either through withholding from your paycheck on a W-2 or through estimated quarterly taxes. And if you overpay, you get the difference back in the form of a refund. Well, of course, it can go the other way too. What happens if you underpay? Well, then you owe a tax bill, right? You'll have a tax bill and you will have to settle up that amount by April 15th. Okay. So that's how it works. And one mistake that I see people make a lot is that they forget to report their estimated quarterly tax payments as part of their tax process. So something that a kindness that I want to do to you right now is to alert you as you are in this season of gathering your tax information together, whether you're preparing your taxes yourself or handing off this information to an accountant. I want you to be aware that all of your quarterly estimated tax payments, both to the federal government and the state government, you need to report them, right? The one really critical thing to know about quarterly tax payments is that there's no automatic connection of them to the tax return you file, because you're just logging onto the IRS payment website and making a payment, right? They'll send you an email confirmation, but it's on you to report that on your taxes, okay? I've seen it happen again and again and again where people assume there's some kind of telepathy that happens or automatic reporting, and there isn't. And so a client will not report despite, in my tax practice, of course, we ask the question, how much did you pay in quarterly taxes? But, a client might forget to tell their tax preparer how much they paid in quarterly taxes. And so the tax preparer doesn't report that on their taxes. So then it looks like they owe a full annual tax bill when actually they don't, because what is a quarterly tax payment? It is a prepayment of your taxes. So every dollar you pay as an estimate is a dollar that comes off your tax bill at tax time, right? Because it's a prepayment of that amount. If you want a check that you can do on your own to see if your quarterly tax payments have been reported on your tax return, I want to just alert you that the two summary pages of your tax return, called a 1040, the two summary pages, right? So that's the one that says 1040 at the top, and page 2 is the one with your signature on it, right? On that page 2, the signature page, line 26 is where your estimated payments for the year get reported. All right. You will notice that there's a math equation being set up on the second page, which is all the tax you owe, then all the payments you made, right? That's a subtraction problem. All that tax you owe is at the top of the page. Payments you made through the year are underneath because they get subtracted out of that tax you owe. And then what's left, if it's a positive number, shows up in the box marked refund, right? You get that back if you overpaid. And if you didn't pay enough, then you owe money, and it will show up on line 37, amount you owe. Okay. So I hope that gives you a little bit of reassurance. And please, 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 if you paid quarterly taxes for the year, do not forget to gather that information and report it on this year's taxes. It's a prepayment you've already made, and you want to make sure you get the proper credit for you. Now, if you completely forget, if you space on this and you submit your tax return and you haven't properly credited the tax payments you made through the year, you're going to have a tax return that shows that you owe a big bill, and that isn't going to actually be accurate. The IRS computers will catch this eventually, and they will send you a check or send you a direct deposit of that difference. But it can take a long time for that reconciliation to happen, right? And you don't really want to be in that situation of not having your money properly credited. So best case scenario, don't forget to report it. All right. Another thing I want to just alert you to is making that quarterly tax payment. It's only a payment. There is no tax return due every quarter when you're paying estimated quarterly taxes. And a lot of people have this kind of twisted in their head. I think that misunderstanding might be coming because of sales tax rules, which are quite different. And in sales tax world, yes, you do actually have to file a tax return every quarter as well as remit a payment. But in income tax world, so when we're dealing with the IRS and your state Department of Revenue for your income taxes, that quarterly tax payment, all it is a payment. There is no paperwork. So it really is a lot more simple than you might be fearing it is. And that ultimately is the takeaway that I want you to have today. All right. So go forth, set up your quarterly tax payments this year, because every single payment you make is a dollar that you don't pay April 15th the following year. And if you are paying roughly the right amount of taxes throughout the year in your estimates, the great part there is you won't owe anything at tax time. And that, my friends, that is the beauty. That is the stress-free life I'm trying to get you on track with that you can have if you make quarterly tax payments. All right. I hope this episode has helped you. If it has, maybe share it with a friend who it could also help. That is a real kindness to me, and I appreciate it. I will see you on the next episode where I will be talking about things you need to track that your bookkeeping will not track, but you do have to make sure you have some kind of way to track them so that you get the credit on your taxes. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.